Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bob Stanke, and today I want to talk to you about what I made as a part-time blogger in 2024. It was an interesting year from a blogging perspective. A lot of bloggers faced a lot of hardships with the Google updates and such. And let's use part-time very softly here. I have a full-time job. Usually the evenings is the only time I have to work on things, but even then it's not every night. But I do try to put a number of hours in every week on my website. So I'm going to show you what I made. I have two primary revenue sources as it relates to my blog. I run Google AdSense on my blog, and I also sell sponsored content. So let's kind of walk through. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of background so you understand my blogging history. I started in 2005 on Google Blogger, and that was mostly just personal stuff. I was updating family on things that were going on in my life and such, nothing big. In 2009, I bought my current domain, bobstanke.com, and opened my first Squarespace account, which I'm still with Squarespace today. I have seen some great success over the years, but 2012 to 2017 was the pinnacle years at that time. I was blogging a lot about social media and productivity and marketing topics, and things really took off for me, primarily around the 2013, 2014 timeframe. Then I took a few years off and started up again in 2020, September of 2020, actually. And I put a really strong focus on content and consistency. And since then, my blog has long overdone what I did back in 2013, 2014. And I've seen some tremendous growth. So, what I want to do today is walk you through each month of 2024 because it was a roller coaster in terms of like what I made and the progress that was done. 2023, though, if you look back going into 2024, 2023 was my best year ever from just about every metric perspective. I greatly benefited from Google's helpful content update that was in September of 2023. Things really took off for me after that, going towards that end of 2023, October, November, December, strong months for me. Sessions, search impressions, search clicks, organic search traffic, ranking keywords, AdSense revenue, sponsored content, everything was up. You can see here in the table on the right, you can look at just in terms of traffic, sessions coming to my site. I mean, there was a huge difference between 2022 and 2023. I mean, you could see the huge shot up there. It crossed over 100,000 that year. And again, let's use part time very lightly here. I'm, working maybe a few nights a week on actual creating content, mostly working on other things for my website and other projects I've got going on. So this is tremendous growth. And going into 2024, I was amped up. I was ready to go, but I had no idea what was in store. So if we look at it from a month by month breakdown, and I know the title of this video is how much I earn, and you're going to find out that each month here as we walk through, and you'll see what a roller coaster it was. So in January, that trend that I ended 2023, it only continued. I saw a record traffic month, little just shy of 18,000 sessions, uh, just shy of $200 in AdSense revenue. Um, so I was seeing 700, 800 sessions per day. I mean, things were really looking good. My sponsored content, everything was right in line with how I had ended 2023. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm gonna crush. You know, at this pace, I was gonna beat last year's traffic numbers by May. Right? That's what I thought at the time. February again, great month. Beat January by all respects. I was averaging 800, 900 sessions per day. Another AdSense revenue record month. I thought for sure I was right on the door at 300. And hey, look, as a part-time blogger, again, spending, maybe let's call it 10 hours total making new content for my blog every month. $300, that's not chump change. It's all kind of passive income. Once I put the blog posts up, it just makes money for me. And obviously, content doesn't really start making money for you until long after you post it. So I had years of content that had built up that I was making in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So all of that was really coming to fruition. So I thought 300 was, I was staring it down in March. And the Google March core update happened. And everything dipped a little bit, but I actually thought I made it out. unscathed. Most of the month of March, I was doing okay. I was hearing a lot of stories on podcasts and from other bloggers that had seen a bigger hit more immediately. I was hanging in there, kind of just right around that 17,000 session mark. Again, crossed over $250 in AdSense revenue, so still feeling pretty good about where things were sitting. In April is when early April, I thought I was still okay. But as the month went on, my traffic started to slide. And as you can see here on the table, I lost not quite 2,000 sessions over the month. My AdSense dipped down, but I was still over $200, and I was totally okay with that. Earlier in the year, I had set a target of $5,000 I wanted to make across AdSense and sponsored content. So I was certainly still a long ways from that, 4 months in. But again, I was hopeful that maybe I could start pulling in some $300, $400 months, maybe even $500 months closer to mid-year, end of year, to maybe get to that $5,000 mark. But here's the thing. Traffic falls in April, but in comparison to the April previous, I mean, I was still double the traffic. So I was still had to feel good. Even though I didn't like seeing the drop month over month, I was still okay that April compared to the year prior was still really, really good. My sponsored content took a little bit of a hit, but that's that is so up and down, and you'll see that here in a little bit. May is when I really started to feel the pain. That March update really started to hit me. Everything was dropping. My AdSense revenue, cut in half. And this was the first month I didn't have any sponsored content as well. So took a huge nosedive in terms of revenue for the month, and really started to think maybe I didn't escape the March update. I was just getting a little bit later than maybe some other people. And I was also gearing up for summer, which my audience is primarily business professionals, business leaders, small business leadership teams. And so the summer usually is a slowdown. So I was a little worried coming out of May that not only was I getting hit by the update, but I was also going to see a decline in my traffic just naturally due to seasonality. And that definitely happened. Whether or not this is all update or, some of it is seasonality, all of it kind of blends in together. But every metric was down. I mean, sponsored content was up, which was great. That $80 is about 2 posts, sponsored content. So great, but still not where I was, back in February in regards to both AdSense and sponsored content. So this is really where, honestly, personally, I started to lose motivation. The numbers were falling. I was still posting quite a bit. To this point, I had posted January through June. I had posted 29 new pieces of content in those 6 months, and I just felt like the numbers were going down. I was putting a lot of work in. It wasn't going anywhere. So I was really starting to lose motivation. And that really hit in July. The numbers continued to fall, everything across the board. Every metric fell, search impressions, search clicks, ad impressions, just everything was down. AdSense was down. Again, not at its lowest point of the year. And I lost complete motivation. In July, I stopped creating content. And so when I look at the numbers at the end, when we get to the end of this video, had I kept going, maybe it would have turned out differently. I'm not sure. But I honestly, personally, mentally, I just lost all motivation and I stopped blogging. And so that was painful. And it just continued into August. At the end of August, I started to feel like things are starting to stabilize. I wasn't dropping traffic by the large percentages I was the 3 months previous to that. So I started to feel a little bit, more hopeful. My AdSense stabilized. It kind of stayed at that, 130-ish mark. Sponsored content was up, which was good. Started to, at the very end of August, regain a little bit of motivation, and I did carry that into September. And I came in just guns blazing. I had a new plan for content. I was going to regain my motivation. I felt good. And I saw a little bit of improvement across the board. My AdSense jumped up back across 150. So I felt like maybe I'd turned a corner. There was an update, a Google update. There was several throughout the year, but there was one in August that was, I believe, supposed to try to correct some of the helpful content update that happened in March, or the core update that happened in March. And so I felt like maybe some of that correction was hitting my blog, which was great. That just continued into October. I started to feel good. October was a good month. Things were looking up. My traffic bounced back up over 11,000, just shy of 12,000. My AdSense took a big hit though. That was the lowest it had been in over a year. But I wasn't overly panicked because I knew my traffic was coming back. And sometimes AdSense can be funny in terms of, just how the ads are performing, what advertisers are running, who's targeting my blog. My blog is very geared towards the business audience. And so, one click can get me, $3, $4, $5 sometimes. But if those clicks go down, it results in my revenue. But I wasn't overly concerned. Things looked like they were turning around. But in November, I got hit hard again. I didn't even crack 10,000 sessions on my blog. And that's an important metric for me because the more people that come to my site, the more AdSense revenue I ultimately get. But the AdSense popped up a little bit. Again, AdSense, it can go up and down. So I don't pay it too much attention on the small drops, knowing that kind of over time, it goes up. So I saw a nice little bounce and I, felt good. But the motivation took another hit here because I felt like things were starting to turn around, and then I kind of got whacked, and I didn't publish anything. Just to, before we get to December, January to June, I published, like I said, 29 pieces of content. From July to December, 5. So if that tells you anything about where my motivation was, I just stopped producing content. I also hit 0 for sponsored content revenue. So you can see earlier in the year, I did pretty well, and then it tapered off at this point. And then December, I look at this and it hurts. It hurts a lot. I hadn't had a month like that in regards to traffic in a long time, like 18 months. Just over 7,600 sessions. AdSense was down. I do see a decline in everything in December. Again, a lot of advertising, there's a lot of advertising in the market. A lot of it's retail focused, maybe less business. So I do see a drop in sessions and AdSense in December. Holidays, a lot of places do, but this was really dramatic this fall. So I know some of this is just me still suffering from not ranking where I need to rank in Google. I'm bringing in the organic traffic that I should be bringing in, going from 800, 900 sessions a day in January and February down to 300 to 400. So the traffic was just literally cut in half, and the AdSense was disappointing. The only bright spot was sponsored content came in a rush at the end of December. I think there was a lot of budgets that were being spent, and advertisers were looking for placement opportunities, and so I did really good. I actually had a record month in December for the year, so that was good. So if you wrap up all the final numbers and you look back over the last couple of years, despite the updates, despite the declining traffic all year, I still had 154,000 sessions, just shy of 155,000, leaps and bounds ahead of 2023. And 2022, you can't even really look at. I mean, if you just in terms of the volume, 2023, I did pump out 88 pieces of content that year as a part-time blogger. And again, part-time, more like part-time. So 88 pieces of content, I was posting, not quite 2 a week, but close. But the traffic I still had a record year. Same with AdSense. I can't complain. I made $2,000 in AdSense last year for basically just being a blogger, for writing about things I like writing about, for, playing around, tinkering around on my website, which is something I would be doing anyways, even if I wasn't making AdSense money. So it's like a free $2,000. And $1,000 more than the previous year. So grew really nicely. Sponsored content cracked 1,000 in 2024, about even with what I did in 2023, and very close to 2022. So that's been very consistent. the AdSense is what I'm really looking to continue to grow. So overall, um, in terms of what I made as a part-time blogger in 2024, I made a little over $3,000 for minimal effort. Really, honestly, a lot of it was work I'd already put in, and again, this is doing something I would be doing anyways, even if I wasn't trying to make money. So 45.9% growth in revenue as a blogger year over year compared to 2023. I mean, I'll take it for sure. So I think the key takeaways here is, I saw great growth in my revenue, but I also know it could have been higher. I think I gave up midway through the year, just lost motivation due to everything. If I would have been pushing a lot more, maybe sponsorship opportunities, which is something I'm, really looking at amplifying in the year to come. Maybe if I had kept the content going, maybe if I had done more promotion on social, or I had opened up more opportunities on YouTube, things like that, it could have grown even more. I'm convinced of that. I just need to post more content like I did in 2023, and I need to do it across more channels, which is why this year, you're watching this on YouTube, I will be here more often to try to increase that. But at the end of the day, for the time I put in, I'm pretty happy with the results. To be a blogger and writing articles and doing all that to make 3,000 bucks total, 2,000 in AdSense, nothing to squawk at, and I'm very happy with that. So that's what I made as a part-time blogger in 2024. If you have any questions or anything, please drop them in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like this video. But thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it, and have a good one.